Hello there, my name is Rick.
Ciao, my name's Millie.
And this is episode 40
40.
of season 3
Tre.
of Yonks Ago. Did you almost forget the name?
I almost forgot that I'm part of that.
I almost said of Donnie B. So obviously it's been a while. Anyway, cue the theme song.
Season 3, could it be Donnie B? Who is he? Just another bit of history that we're gonna get to know in a brand new little season of Yonks Ago. A father and a daughter putting on a show, finding out about people from Yonks Ago. Y-O-N-K-S Ago. Y-O-N-K-S Ago. Fact or fiction? We don't know. Y-O-N-K-S Ago.
All right, here we are. Season 3, episode 40.
Woo! Season 3, episode 40. Let's go.
It is. So I just did my 400th episode of How About This, my other podcast.
Yeah.
And 40th episode.
Go listen right now.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing. I mean, we're just wrapping up Donnie B's life. You get it. He stopped playing cricket and he became irrelevant.
Yeah.
The end. But we're going to deep dive into that as best we can. But before we do that, stop the podcast. Go listen to episode 400 of How About This. If you've never heard an episode, perfect place to jump in.
Yeah.
You won't get any of the references.
And you know, when you started that podcast, 2014.
2014. What's
Yeah.
that mean?
Well, episode 40, 400.
Oh, there's a 4 in 2014.
I was just tying it back to the fours.
I was like, how does 20 and or 14 tie, or 2014? It's just the number 4 you're drawing attention to.
Yeah.
It's a long bow, I'll call that. But it counts. It counts.
I try my best.
Mate, the number 4 is all around us.
Do you know what season's after season 3?
Season 4. What? This is unstoppable, an unstoppable scourge of 4s plaguing us in a delightful way.
Do you know what's
a delightful plague? Like when something's like all around you and like non-stop, but it's like nice. Like, when it's bad, it's a plague. It's plaguing me.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the good version of plaguing something?
Well, maybe when it's like, I don't know.
I don't know. I have to think
when
about
it's
that.
all around.
Yeah.
Maybe like a bit of rain in the sunshine.
Yeah. We just need a catchy way to encapsulate that. Like something's plaguing me, something's rain in the sunshining me.
I like rain in the sunshine. It's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
And the rain is all
Gives
around.
you a rainbow.
That's the only thing I could think of.
So look, this is probably, most likely, although we can waffle on, so who knows, probably the last episode of this season 3 that we've, I mean, it's been a long time in the making. When did we start season 3? A while ago.
Last year.
Yeah. We did it the whole time I was in Sydney, so we'd started it before I was in Sydney.
On Zoom, for real.
Yeah. So it's been through a lot this season 3, and we've well and truly turned against the protagonist of this season, Don Bradman.
Yeah, he fell off.
Yeah, but in many ways that's kind of fun. We've been, we were 100% behind Ned Kelly. We were on board Nancy Wake, and
for the most part,
and Donnie B just became our villain. We needed a villain.
Yeah,
didn't we?
Season 3 gives villainy
vibes. And so let's wrap him up so we can be done with this this villain from Yonks Ago. So when we last left him, he'd played his final proper test match in England. Can't even remember how it wrapped up. I'm sure he won.
Yeah, whatever.
Classic Donnie B. On the boat trip home, Bradman was approached by a representative of Payne's Sweets, who wanted him and some other players to appear in Australian newspaper ads advertising their sweeties. Because nothing says sweeties like high-level cricket players. Sweeties rhymes with diabetes. Coincidence?
No.
The Payne's representative was surprised that Bradman did not negotiate a bigger deal for himself. He refused to take more than his teammates. Well. What's happened to Donnie B?
That's out of character for him.
It is. Maybe he was counting on some sort of shifty deal in the back end. Even though he was the leader and arranged the agreements. So the rep was surprised because he'd obviously heard about Donnie B and his shady deals.
Yeah.
He's like, Donnie B's definitely going to want at least 8 slices of this pie before he even starts showing the pie to anyone else. So, surprise, surprise. But then, a few weeks later when they arrived home, the Paynes man flew to Adelaide to sign the contract and give Bradman his surprisingly low payment. But Bradman said he couldn't go on with it. Did not give a reason.
Sus.
The Paynes man had drawn the cheque and urged him to take it, but he refused. He said, give the money to charity, which was where the money went. Strange. Well, you think, what? Why did he have to give the money to anyone? Like, surely the paint...
Yeah, if he didn't do it.
I bet that Paynes man got back to the head office and he went, oh, Don Bradman didn't sign. And they went, oh, that's a shame. Oh, well, at least we've still got that money. And he went, oh, no, Don told me to give it to charity. He's like, yeah, but you didn't, right? Like, what?
We didn't get
it's
that
not
ad.
It's not his money. Like, he did nothing.
So we don't have the advertisement. We don't have Don Bradman, and we've lost the money.
That's right. That guy lost his job for sure. What's Don telling him to give the money to charity for? That's not how that works. When you don't take
plan. He's like, I'll suck him in and then I'll yeet away last minute.
That is, again, Don Bradman's taken something that should have been good and he's ruined it for everyone, except for the charity.
Yeah.
Who are like, thanks, whoever you are, mystery Paynes man. Now, someone speculated that they thought Don Bradman knew he was about to be knighted. And so
Did he get knighted?
So he could hardly appear in a newspaper ad selling sweets. That would be ridiculous. A cricket player, yes, that makes sense. Cricket player, sweets, it all adds up. But a knighted cricket?
knight?
No, sir.
As if.
Knights don't be having those sweeties. Not on their life. It's one of the rules of knighthood.
Yeah.
As the sword comes down on the shoulder, will you renounce sweets? Yes, you have to agree to that. Otherwise, they chop your head off.
It's because if you have sweets at night, then you get bad dreams.
And that's you can't be a knight if your nights are ruined. Mm-hmm. Your nights have to be blissfully sleep-filled and delightful. So look. That's probably why he didn't even bother negotiating a bigger fee. Yeah. Because he's like, I'm never doing this ad. So once again, a brief glimmer of something that might have been, not villainy, probably based in villainy.
Did the other cricketers end up doing it though?
Probably not. He probably cost them all their jobs. Classic Donnie B. Because he's like, I'm going to be a knight. Screw you guys.
He was organising it all.
Yeah. Because there's no way they're going to go through with whatever ad they had. They obviously had Donnie B front and centre. And when he's gone, they won't. This whole thing's over. We lost all the money. Bloody hell. So then he did his final round of farewell matches, his last bit of cricket in his career, but they were all just like exhibition matches. So he did his farewell testimonial match at the MCG in December 1948, scored 123 meaningless runs.
Whatever.
Who's going to get Donnie B out in his farewell testimonial game?
That's what I'm saying.
So 53,000 people came to watch him score 123 junk runs. They were bowling underarm. Yeah. It was useless. Then in February 1949, he played a testimonial match for Alan Kippax for the Kipper. Oh, they must have made up. And Bert Oldfield, lovable Bert Oldfield. In Sydney. So he turned up for those two at least. He hit a fast 53 in front of 41,575. So, the crowd's a little smaller in New South Wales for some reason. And then finally in March 1949, it was Adelaide's turn to see Bradman in a state game. South Australia versus Victoria. And this was a testimonial for Arthur Richardson, who we don't know much about.
Who's that?
Just
some bloke.
Some bloke. And he made a top score of 30. He really just coasted home, really. Didn't even turn up. In South Australia's first innings, and then he injured his ankle fielding and couldn't bat in the second.
He did. Yeah, right, he did.
And so that was the last of his proper cricket. His career was now finished, and as if to mark the delineation between his playing days and what would follow, he was knighted in recognition of his service to cricket and to the Commonwealth Sporting Links. So the title Sir was bestowed upon him, Sir the Don.
Jonald. Is it his name's
Donathan? Sir Donathan Bradman. So Sir Donathan Bradman got the title of Sir, which further separated him from the sportsman of the era and added to the mystique of his performance and standing and enhanced his legend. So let's just go over what happened next. He ended up he was friends with Robert Menzies. I think maybe our Jesse. Jesse was a cousin of Menzies, maybe. I think they mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
So family links to Menzies. He was a Liberal Prime Minister. He'd just become Prime Minister in 1949 when Bradman had left the game. And Menzies felt Bradman would make an excellent ambassador and asked him if he would be interested in the position of Australian High Commissioner in London, a plum diplomatic role in London. And Bradman would have been chuffed with that position because he kind of had a semi-ambassador role in his cricketing life when he was over in London. He was going to all the functions. He was living the diplomatic ambassador life anyway as Test captain. So it's just a hop, skip and a jump to make that a formal position. And he was quite happy to say, yes, I'd love to do that. But unfortunately, our man Robbie Menzies got cold feet. The power brokers in the Liberal Party said, "Are you mad?" Because a little bit of a political lesson for you, Millie. Strap your thinking cap on. These plum political positions that are largely easily done and ceremonial in nature, like the ambassadorial roles, the Australian High Commissioner in London role, they're useful tools for your career politician to reward people who've supported you with that role. Here's a sweet, cushy job. Or to get rid of people who are agitating against you. So if there's someone in your party who's like causing trouble for you and you're in a position you're dishing. So if you're the Prime Minister and you want to get rid of this person, rather than in a positive way, you can get rid of them and say, "Oh, I'm making you the Australian High Commissioner in London.
Yeah, get stuff
to London." And, you've got to accept the role because it's an honour.
Yeah.
And you've got to do what you're told.
Yeah.
But basically, they're getting rid of you.
I see.
And they're saying, you want to take this sweet tool at your disposal, this weapon in your armoury, and give it to Don Bradman, which will achieve nothing for you politically apart from people who go, "Oh, yeah, that's nice." But you're not going to be able to use it as a weapon, which you should be using it as, to lure people to your side or to punish people who are against you.
Yeah.
So, once they laid that out to Menzies, he was like, "Fair enough. Sorry, Don.
Don getting a bit of taste of his own medicine.
That's right. Life now post-cricket already, he's not getting what he wants. And what's he going to do? Threaten to not play cricket? You're already not playing cricket, idiot. So I think he's starting to learn that life post-cricket might not be all Donathan-based sweet rides. So he missed out on that. And then, look, in 1951... poliomyelitis is, which sounds like polio to me, struck South Australia in force. So it was there. It was spreading through the masses, and among the victims was the admittedly athletically gifted 12-year-old John Bradman.
No.
Little John. Geez, they've had a rough trot kid-wise.
Didn't they? Yeah.
They had...
wasn't he already a sickly child, or was that the
no,
other
I think
one?
her sister Shirley was sick in some way, some sort of retardation or something like that. I can't remember what the specific wording was, but there's definitely some sort of impact or learning disability associated with Shirley. Obviously, they had the miscarriage to start with.
Yeah.
And now John, their golden boy, athletically gifted, looking like he's about to follow in the footsteps of Donathan. Jonathan Bradman's got the polio. And so Don was forced to give up many of his duties. Jessie looked after Jonathan, of course. She did all the duties. Yeah. And Don was forced to give up some of his interstate duties. So he had to stay home. Couldn't be national selector for a while. John spent a year in a steel frame in his room.
Oh, dear.
Jessie said in their living room, a steel frame in the living room, and they both bathed him and gave him therapy every day.
Okay.
Just getting Jonathan Bradman through the worst of it. At the end of this period of anxiety, John recovered.
Oh, let's go.
Go, Jonathan.
I'm worried for him.
He went on to be an outstanding 120-yard hurdler.
Okay.
Setting a state record for the event.
Nice.
Okay, so the experience was a reminder of the gulf between the reality of life and the artifice of legend. So obviously the image of Don Bradman and the mystique around him is that he was an untouchable, sporting icon, but his life was, beset with all these trials and tribulations. And that he and Jessie in private were having more than the usual number of family tragedies and challenges. And again, and it must be said, thank goodness they do make a point of reminding us of this, Jessie was the family's rock during this another personal crisis, Jessie to the rescue.
We can all agree that.
The Jescue.
Oh, nice.
She's coming to the Jescue
that.
time and time again.
Countless times.
I don't think Don would have got through many things in the 30s and 40s, like his own illnesses that he made up.
No, he wouldn't. We wouldn't know him today.
No.
Without
everything that Jessie did come into the Jescue. She is a magnificent person, is what they want you to know about Jessica Jescue Bradman. It is a common thought about Jessie, whose strength through all their problems was also Don's strength. They're really harping on, but so they should.
It's because they didn't do it for the whole book.
They've stayed right to the end.
Jessie was there, but how good's Don?
They hated being apart from each other for long periods, of course, because his life would fall apart. She's doing most of his work for him. Whenever she's not there, he's like, Don, where's the article you were supposed to write?
It'd be a bit sus if they loved being apart, eh?
Yeah. But any periods of extended separation were over with his retirement, because now when he travelled to England for more than a couple of weeks, she would go with him. And so, look, they were just always together, having the best of times.
Slay
Then Bradman's own health in 1954 flared up again. He's back, and his fibrositis. So his imaginary diseases, because you know why? Because he wanted to quit the broking firm, which he did. He got out, and he just became like an investor in other companies where he didn't have to turn up or do any work. So he sold out of the broking business, claiming, "Oh, my back.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I mean, I'm only 45, but I'm done." And he ended up with a lot of savvy investments and a comfortable. He described his circumstances as comfortable.
I see.
He had a 10-room home in Kensington.
Oh, I'll grab a 10-room home.
But he was irritated by false rumours, Millie.
Oh, dear.
Don't believe the rumours.
I'll believe them.
That he had become a millionaire. Lies.
Well, of course he's a millionaire.
Lies, he says.
He's stealing money.
And now he's in the book publishing game. He's publishing a lot of books. And then he's a national selector. And he gets cricket up and running. He encourages the team under Richie Benaud, the voice of cricket, who was the captain in your 1958-59 era, to start playing attractive, fast-paced cricket. And which they do. And the Australian cricket starts to get fairly well received during this era. And then we get into the 1970s.
Okay, your era, Dad.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Just before my era. This is 1970-71.
Okay.
And our man, Don Bradman, has got he's excited about a plan to get the Australian public excited about, a new test series in Australia. He wants to bring over the South African test team. Now, this is 71, 72, I think, or 1970. So 71, 72. He's got a plan to bring over the Springboks, as they're called, the Australian the South African test team, which, I don't know if you know your history, controversial move by Jonathan, because this is during the apartheid era, where a lot of, political people in the know are starting to agitate for change in the apartheid-ruled South Africa, and a lot of this is eventuating in sporting boycotts. Yeah. England have already cancelled a tour by the Springboks, saying, not until you change your rules politically, we can't support you or your test team. Don's a bit sad about this. The stats in Australia read that about 65 to 70% of Australians would support a South African test team. They'd turn up. They'd come and watch it. But a lot of the more, I guess Jonathan would describe them as the vocal minority. They're saying this is absurd. How dare this is a terrible turn of events, Jonathan. And Don himself ends up going to see a rugby game with the South African ambassador. He went to a rugby test in 1970. And he says the ground was protected by barbed wire barricades and the police were ready for things such as smoke bombs and flares.
Whoa.
But the barricades didn't stop the protesters. They invaded the arena and he went away convinced that it would be impossible to police a cricket match. There would be violence. Any game would be ruined and cricket would be the worse for it. So he decided, despite a statistical amount of support by the Australian public for the test tour, that he should cancel it. Tough call from the Donathan, but he's done it. But this cancellation left a void in 1971-72. And so Bradman quickly cobbled together a rest of the world team.
Whoa.
He cherry-picked the best players from around the world to come and beat the rest of the world to play a series against Australia, and it went gangbusters.
Imagine being cherry-picked by someone.
Yes.
That'd be so fun. I want to be cherry-picked.
Yeah, it'd be sweet. I mean, I guess that's sort of what happened when you got on the Australian roller derby team. It's kind of like a cherry pick.
Try out for that.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not lime.
Not just being well known, just like a legend at the game.
You're right. And so this season went well. Donathan's making a name for himself as somebody who gets the job done. But it's taking its toll on his family life. In 1972, it became too much.
Can't take any more.
For Bradman's son, John.
Oh, dear, no.
Jesse describes the situation. She says, John was a tutor in law at Adelaide University, just carving out his own niche. Mm-hmm. He was a legal VIP from the UK was visiting.
Ooh.
Some people in the faculty were introduced to him, and when he met John, the person doing the introduction said, "And this is the son of Sir Donald Bradman." And that was the last straw for John. He went out and changed his name by deed poll to Bradson.
Why?
John is reported as saying, "I was popped in a metaphorical glass cage to be peered at or discussed. I am no longer prepared to accept being seriously introduced as simply someone's son.
Whew.
I am an individual, not a social souvenir." He'd had enough.
Slay.
Though I will say, in an effort to rebel against being known as a son, he changed his name to Bradson. He changed his name from Bradman to Bradson.
I reckon you should go if you're going to change your name because you don't want to be attached to that name anymore.
Yeah, go big.
Go in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
Don't change one letter.
Yeah. No. John Bradman, John Bradson. I mean, that's a small.
I'm just gonna get confused and be like, oh, this is Don Bradson's son.
And you just want to turn up one day and say, "My name is no longer John Bradman. My name is Donald McGillicuddy."
Jonald McDonald.
John. You call me Jonald McDonald always. Never shorten it. Never say one of the names and not the other. I'm always Jonald McDonald. And they're all right, Jonald McDonald. I like your moxie. He's like, "That's my middle name, but you don't have to say that." Donald Moxie McDonald.
Do we know what Don Bradman's middle name was? Did we ever find that out?
We probably did.
It's probably John. John.
Yeah, checks out.
John Bradman.
All right, so Jonathan's taken control of his own life. Jonald McDonald has taken control of his own life. But the success of the Rest of the World tour caused ructions in the cricket world because...
What does ructions mean?
Like trouble.
Oh, I like that word.
Like tremors.
Ructions.
Because this was the inspiration for Kerry Packer, who was a media owner at the time. He owned Channel 9. He wanted to buy the rights to televise Test cricket. But the Australian Cricket Board, who Jonathan Bradman was a member of, didn't give it to Kerry Packer. They gave it to the ABC, which was the government network. And at this stage, the cricketers were disgruntled already because during the 1975 Test match, they were being paid $400 a game. That was their match payments, which at that time, it's not a lot of money. I mean, it's money, but it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, it's not enough money considering how many people are coming through the gate, how many how many people are making sweet bank from the
Yeah.
game? The people actually playing the game weren't doing amazing from it.
Yeah.
And so they're getting a little bit disgruntled. Kerry Packer's now annoyed that he got snubbed. And so he puts together his own series of cricket called World Series Cricket. Because he's got cash. He's
Yeah.
like, I'll pay you money. Come play for me.
Yeah, let's go.
And he's got the 1 day. He's working on his 1 day format, day night
Ooh.
matches. You know, so
Wait, did he come up with these?
I think
Or were
so.
they
I
already
think
there?
I think 1 day matches were already being played, but not at the highest level,
I
really.
see. Yeah.
And not in any serious way. But he's like, let's focus on this 50 over game.
Yeah.
Everyone, you know, the game's decided in 1 day. Let's put it day night matches under lights. Put it on tally. Everyone's a winner. And he went and he cherry picked from around the world. He got teams together, and through a lot of graft, a lot of problems, it struck a good chord. And the Australian Cricket Board ended up having to negotiate a deal where everyone could be happy again. And so Kerry Packer got the rights to broadcast Test cricket because of this, and cricket got the use of the 1 day format. So everyone got a little something out of what was known as World War III in cricket circles at that time.
Whoa.
The battle of World Series cricket. And Don Bradman was, he was again the villain probably, or on the wrong side of that one. As far as the cricketers were concerned, he was saying, "Shut up and play cricket," and they were like, "But we just want some more money," which Jonathan himself had agitated for back in his day. And then look, he kept once his cricketing life sort of petered out, his administrative side, his selecting side, he just kept a pretty quiet. He kept a quiet life to himself. Him and Jesse. When this book was written, he was still alive, so I don't even know when he actually died.
When was this book written?
Couldn't even tell you. But look, here's the final thing. Biochemist Charles Davies recently argued, scientifically at least, that Bradman was the greatest sportsman, not just cricketer, of all time. But this is based... Davies looked at the best cricketers and found that his test average of 99.94 runs is more than 50% higher than that of the next best players, who are around the 60
I don't know
mark.
how we got that average, because from my memory,
Yeah.
he was always just okay.
No, he got some
I
big...
just don't remember when he...
You got a lot of big knocks.
Okay.
That's a not outs, which always helps your average.
Yeah.
But look, what we've learned, I think, from this book was Don a freak, as the stats suggest? Was he so much better than every other batsman who's ever played the game, every other batter who's ever been out there? Was he so freakishly good and better than anyone else that it almost defies logic? Because according to this biochemist, Davies, his stats were so good when you factor everything in that it would take...
Why is the biochemist looking at the stats?
I don't know.
I'd think he'd be examining his body
Yeah,
parts.
no,
or,
just the stats.
He's got a massive heart.
Just pure stats.
Okay.
He's just gone 99.94.
I could look at the stats and be like, yeah, his stats are good. What do you mean? A biochemist
I
has to
don't
do
know.
it?
What do you want, Charles Davies? I think he was just doing it in his lunch break.
Yeah, that's what
He
I'm
just happened to be a biochemist. But he reckons you would have to go for 100,000 years before finding another cricketer who would hit that level. It was a 1 in 10. He was a 1 in 10 billion player.
I was talking nonsense.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that even is that the most sensible explanation, or as we've discovered, was he just a good player who, in the right place at the right time, found himself in a situation where a lot of people, including players that he was playing against, benefited from him being out there batting. Mm-hmm. And if the bowlers whose job it is to get you out are going to make more money by you not going out, is that the reason your stats are so good? You'd have to say yes.
Because he was kind of average.
And
when
I
he
feel
was coming
like
into it.
a bloody biochemist could have figured that out. We've done a 40 episode lighthearted deep dive.
I'm no biochemist, but
and
I believe that this is the truth.
And everything we've read just paints that picture that yes, he was a good player.
Yeah.
Who was exciting enough at the time that he generated excitement, and that then was a self-perpetuating stats machine where because he was a good cricketer, probably as good as the people who get whose averages were 60, which seems to be the benchmark of all the rest of the very, very good cricketers, 55 to 60 averages. Mm-hmm. You'd think if he was probably at that level, but was fortunate enough to be in the epicenter of a perfect storm that resulted in him batting on and on and on.
Yeah.
So myth busted.
Exactly.
Is always something. We've taken 40 episodes, and it took a biochemist for us to say, Don Bradman, myth busted.
Yeah.
You're a pretty good batter, elevated beyond your station because of circumstances, and
You had an excellent wife.
And Jesse got you where you are today.
Yeah.
And anyone who disagrees with me, start your own podcast.
Yeah. We don't care.
No, it's not our problem.
Biochemist or not.
Yeah. Was he a 1 in 10 billion player?
Absolutely not.
Or just pretty good?
Yeah. I don't see him getting cherry picked from around the world.
Nah. Oh, nah. I mean, he was
doing the cherry picking.
That's right.
But still.
Who cherry picks the cherry pickers?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
Biochemist Dave.
And so I think that's a suitable place to put a full stop in the Jonathan Bradman story, the man we've grown to know and hate over the course of 40 episodes. But, we got Jessica Jeskew Bradman.
And we got to know Archie Jackson.
Archie Jackson was
He's a legend.
the real MVP.
Yeah. He got killed off way too early.
Yeah, he got Bradman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly murdered, as we discovered.
He was the real 1 in a billion. If you look at his biochemistry, you would know.
Murdered by the boil-giving Bradman.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Confirmed.
So look, it was a fun season 3. We haven't dealt with someone who we've turned against yet, and so it's fun to do that.
Well, we a little bit turned against Nancy, but
yeah,
but we were on board for the most part. Like it was in the last.
But we also knew she wouldn't care.
Yeah,
she'd welcome it.
Yeah,
she'd be like, I would hate a podcast where they just liked me. Boo. So season 4 is next on the agenda.
Yeah.
We had a little chat about it, and
just before we started,
just making snap decisions, bit of sizzle.
Yeah,
we're going way back in time. We felt like we've done some yonks, but we've all been in the same vicinity. There's been crossover. I feel like where they all could have been alive at the same time, even.
Yeah, like Ned Kelly was our furthest Yonks Ago.
Yeah,
and that was how many? Whatever.
So we thought we'd go super yonks.
Yeah.
Oh, at least I assume it's super yonks. I
have
even know.
No idea.
Because we've realised neither of us know that much about this historical figure that we're going to learn about. We know, just the barest big ticket items. So we're hoping there's a story there. We assume there is. I'm hoping I can find some facts. I've done no research as yet. But
it's okay. We'll just see where it leads us.
Yeah, whatever. It could be a short season because I might only be able to find the stuff that we basically already know, which isn't much.
I don't know anything.
So Millie's coming out at very blank slate. So you probably, whatever you know, hopefully we'll be able to provide a little bit more, but also we'll flesh it out with nonsense. So even if there aren't that many facts, there will be by the time we're finished with her. And so she has been chosen as the subject of season 4 of Yonks Ago.
Whoa.
And I look forward...
Say 4 in Italian every episode. That's so tricky. It's my worst one.
I thought 3 was your worst one.
It's also they're both my.
So we're going to have to hurry through when we get to 5. That's where it's all at. But so I look forward to a deep dive into a little historical figure that everyone knows as Joan of Arc.
Whoa!
We're going way back. So let's find out what we can about Joan of Arc and see if we can flesh out the facts we already know about her, which for Millie is none. Mm-hmm. And that is where we're going to hit it when we come back eventually in season 4 of
Yonks Ago!
Get stuffed, Don.